Anybody who understands sound knows wired is better than wireless, especially on a tight budget. And today I am going to talk about 3 of the most insanely hyped budget IEMs right now. I've got one that costs less than 1,000 rupees, one that costs 2,000 rupees, and one that sells for a little over 3,000 rupees, so that you guys can have all the options laid out to you depending on your budget. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, but Pratima, why should I get an IEM and deal with messy wires when I could simply buy a pair of wireless earbuds? Yes, it is true that wireless earbuds are more comfortable, but IEMs are simply a much better product if you care about sound. I have tested hundreds of wireless earbuds throughout my YouTube career, and I'm not even kidding when I say that a good 1,000 rupee IEM will absolutely destroy wireless earbuds that cost 5 times or even 10 times more in terms of sound quality. Like these, the GK Kunten, for example, it starts at 900 rupees for the one without a microphone, but I would say spending 100 rupees more for the one that comes with a mic is totally worth it, since its call quality is pretty awesome. But since these are IEMs, they don't have a dedicated processor like wireless earbuds to clear background noise during calls. So if you're in a noisy place like this one, the mic will not magically clear up your voice. And yes, you will have to bring the mic a little closer to your mouth if you want the person on the other side to hear you more clearly. Anyway, talking about the sound, I was actually quite surprised by how the GK Kunten is tuned. I honestly expected to have that typical budget IEM sound, boosted bass, sharp treble, and that usual V-shaped tuning, but surprisingly, that's not what this is. In fact, it kind of reminds me how Apple tunes its AirPods. This guy actually has a familiar mid-forward tuning like the AirPods Pro and the AirPods Max, where the lows, aka the bass, aren't as emphasized. What this means is if your playlist mostly has vocal-focused songs, or if you're really into jazz, instrumental, and classical music, I bet you are going to enjoy listening to them on the GK Kunten. I also really like the soundstage here. It feels fairly wide, so the music does not sound crammed or stuck inside your head. There's a nice sense of space and depth to whatever you're listening to, and even when I was listening to songs that have a lot of elements in the mix, like Michael Jackson's Thriller, for example, this thing continued to impress me with the excellent instrument separation. By the way, did you guys watch Michael? I thought it was a pretty decent biopic, and I am dying to know what they do in the sequel. I would love to know your opinions about the movie in the comments below. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to like about the GK Kunten, but I have to tell you, it's not perfect. The most obvious limitation is the bass. This is definitely not an IEM made for the bass heads. You do get a bit of sub-bass rumble, especially when you turn the volume up, but don't expect punchy bass on these IEMs in hip-hop or EDM tracks. And because the GK Kunten has a slight boost in the mids and upper mids, there is one thing I noticed. Female vocals can sound a little shouty in some songs. It's not a huge issue, but if you listen to a lot of metal songs, this tuning might feel a little fatiguing over time. Other than that, it's pretty much your typical budget IEM. You get an L-shaped connector, a flat, non-braided cable, and surprisingly decent build quality. The faceplate is actually made of metal, while the rest of the shell uses the usual resin material. Okay, now for those who have 2,000 rupees to spend on a brand new IEM, let me bring out the Tangzu Wan'er SG2 Red Lion Edition. I am just going to call them Red Lion for the rest of this video because the name is simply ridiculous. And as the name suggests, this guy is a slightly different take on the regular Tangzu SG2, which I have with me right here. It is red and does have a lion-like imprint on the top of the shell, but trust me, the Tangzu Red Lion is more than just a cosmetic refresh. But before I talk about the sound, I have to mention the unboxing experience because honestly, that alone almost feels worth 2,000 rupees. Seriously. So the Tangzu Red Lion comes in this big red box with a dope artwork. Fun fact, this is actually an illustration of a 7th century Chinese poet named Shangguan Wan'er, who happens to be the direct inspiration for this IEM's name. And opening it up, you get a nice soft cleaning cloth with the same artwork, the red lions themselves, a lovely braided cable, and also a magnetic rubber pouch. What's interesting is that Tangzu even ships 2 sets of high-quality ear tips with this guy. But obviously none of that matters if it does not sound good, right? Thankfully, I love that the Red Lions pack a punch with their sound quality too. Compared to the GK Kunten, I am definitely enjoying its warmer sound signature more. Tangzu has clearly tuned this one with bass in mind, so you get tighter bass attacks, punchier kick drums, and an overall more energetic low end. But the good thing is the bass does not sound bloated or muddy either. It still keeps the detail and tonality that I look for in a good IEM. Especially with these sonic ear tips that I have paired it with, the Red Lion sounds even more controlled and more enjoyable. The only thing that I'm not a big fan of here is the treble. Some higher notes sound a little artificial here. It's hard to explain, but you will notice it in certain tracks. For example, that sharp percussive loop in Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather, or the bright shimmery acoustic guitar in Led Zeppelin's Tangerine, those kinds of songs don't come across as naturally on the Red Lion. They're not painfully harsh or anything, but they do have this slightly unnatural metallic edge that I wish was smoother. It's almost like they've been put through a filter of some sort to make them sound extra detailed in a way. Most people probably will not even notice it in casual listening, but if you listen closely, some treble heavy parts can sound a bit unnatural. Finally, I have the Kefine Klean SV. This one costs around 3,500 rupees, and even though it's not as popular as the other two, I honestly can't think of many IEMs that feel this well built at this price. Now, there's also the standard Kefine Klean, which has a slightly warmer sound signature, but personally, I found the silver SV version more fun to listen to because the tuning here is smoother, it's cleaner, and a bit more detail focused. Anyway, the very first thing that struck me about the Klean SV is its design, actually. This is the only IEM on my desk right now with a proper full metal shell, and man, does it feel premium. For those with fairly small ears like mine, I am sure you're going to thank me for how just incredibly comfortable this one is. I'm also digging the minimalist aesthetics of these IEMs, by the way, which is kind of the exact opposite of the Tangzu Red Lions. Then there's the sound. The Klean SV uses a similar 10nm dynamic driver setup as the other two, but the way Kefine has tuned it is genuinely impressive. Like I said earlier, this is a more detailed focused IEM, and the technical performance here is just excellent. You get a nice sense of soundstage, so the music feels wider and more three-dimensional. The imaging is also really good, meaning you can actually tell where each sound is coming from, and how well it retrieves the details in the songs are just simply fantastic here. Fantastic. And since Kefine went with a more or less balanced sound signature, its bass response does not feel overpowering, the mids are smooth, and the treble isn't too sharp or sibilant either. I know it almost sounds like I'm describing the perfect pair of IEMs, but to my ears, the Klean SV really does feel like one. At least considering this is a budget IEM. The only one tiny complaint I had was how it's not that energetic or sparkly in the mid-treble region between 6 to 10 kHz as I prefer. But just wait till you hear about the sound customization on this guy, because the Klean SV has these removable nozzles to customize the kind of sound I want. It is so cool. The default silver nozzle keeps things nice and balanced. The gold one brings out more details, and the black nozzle is supposed to boost the mid bass a little bit. The difference between them is honestly not as big as you might expect, but I absolutely love it. And if that wasn't enough, look how cute its carrying case is. I am also more than happy with its call quality, so if you want that jack of all kind of IEM under 3,500 rupees, the Kefine Klean SV is the best there is. So yeah, these are three of the best budget IEMs across different price ranges. The GK Kunten is the undisputed value king. The Tangzu Red Lions are the coolest pair of budget IEMs I have seen in a while the Kefine Klean SV is simply sensational for the price. So depending on how much you're willing to spend, I hope you have found the IEMs that's perfect for you. Or if you would like me to explore a few more options, you can also check out the IEM buy guide video that I made a few months ago where I discussed 7 different budget IEMs. With this, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.